What's up guys, Mike here, and today we are doing part 1 of my Eastern Conference preview. Now you can see by the video length, I had to split this up into 2 parts because I didn't want one preview taking over 20 minutes. But that just really means I got to talk about every single team a decent amount in these 2 parts. So part 2 should be coming on Saturday, and if you missed my Western Conference preview, I'll link that somewhere down below. And other than that, let's just jump into this. We're going from 15 down to 8 in this video. So enjoy.
Number 15, the Philadelphia 76ers.
I'm going to skip past the negativity here and only look at the positives. Yes, Ben Simmons is still injured. Yes, this team still has way too many big men, and yes, their potential best player has never played a game on an NBA court. None of that really matters to me.
Because sure, the 76ers aren't a playoff contender this season, but they are an exciting young team, which is something you could not say last year. When Simmons comes back, the ball will be put into his hands, and he'll have all the opportunity in the world to become the next NBA star. On top of this, the 76ers have so many young big men that one of them has to grow into a future all-star, right? Well, from what's been reported, Nerlens Noel will probably be traded as soon as the Sixers can get some kind of asset for him, which leaves Philly with Jaleel and Joel. Now, Jaleel is fresh off a season where he had tons of growing pains and still averaged 17.5 points per game and 7 rebounds per game. Yet many are already writing him off. Here's a message to everyone. Okafor is turning 21 this season. Let's give him a chance to prove himself. And as for Joel Embiid, has there ever been more anticipation for a player to finally start his career? After 2 seasons of injuries, the man who was once compared to a young Hakeem finally takes an NBA court. And from what we've already seen in the preseason, it looks like if he can stay healthy, Embiid might be something special, which is awesome because we need this guy to be in as many NBA interviews as possible. With all of this said, add in another potential Rookie of the Year candidate in Dario Saric and some solid vets in Jared Bayless and Robert Covington, and maybe the Sixers surprise us this year and finish as high as 13th, or maybe they continue to tank and finish 15th. Whatever the case, at least it looks like they're now on the right track. Number 14, the Brooklyn Nets.
You have to remember here that the Nets have zero incentive to lose because the Boston Celtics own their pick.
With that said, I still have to rank the Nets as 14th in the East because they are just that terrible. The only interesting thing that the Nets really have going for them is the combination of Jeremy Lin and Brook Lopez. Now, I'm not going to get too into Jeremy Lin. I'm sure the press will cover him enough this season, but I am definitely happy for him. He should average around 17 points per game this season, and he deserves to be a starter in the NBA. But what we really need to talk about is Brook Lopez. Did you know that Lopez has averaged over 70 games played a year in the last 2 seasons? Did you know that last season he averaged 20 points and 8 rebounds a night? Did you know that he has constantly put up 20 points and 8 rebounds a night for his whole career? Well, you probably didn't, because Brook Lopez is right now underappreciated. So this season, enjoy the fact that we can watch the Nets without checking if they are a D-League team, and thank the team for at least letting us enjoy an offense heavy on Brook Lin pick and rolls. See what I did there? Number 13, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Now, if Chris Middleton did not get injured, the Bucks might have been competing for a playoff spot this season.
Instead, I think they will show flashes of great potential, but ultimately will come up short. Point Giannis is one of the most interesting storylines this season. I can't wait to watch him run up and down the court. Jabari is now 21 and is in the best shape of his life. Hopefully, he comes back after the offseason with a jump shot. If he does, look for him to be a big building block in Milwaukee's future. And the Bucks added Delhi, who as a spot-up guard is the perfect complement for Point Giannis. And anything that helps Point Giannis helps NBA fans everywhere. And other than that, I did talk about Milwaukee's team as a whole for a few minutes in my Giannis video very recently, so if you're a Bucks fan, I'd definitely check that out. Number 12, the Orlando Magic.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do not believe in this Orlando Magic team.
This offseason, Orlando traded for Serge Ibaka and signed Bismack Biyombo while they already had Aaron Gordon and Nikola Vucevic starting up front. These moves have prompted Orlando to slide Gordon down to the 3 spot, which I think is a colossal mistake. His incredible athleticism makes him a potential matchup nightmare at the power forward spot down the road. I don't think he's ever going to be a good small forward in this league. As for Vucevic's feelings on these moves, he was public in saying that he was confused and felt the Magic had enough starter level big men. Basically, he's kind of annoyed that the Magic brought in other big men when he already felt that he proved that he was a quality starter. So unless they end up trading him, I think there could be some potential chemistry problems problems here down the line. And just looking at this roster in general, it just doesn't seem good enough to make a playoff push in this new and improved Eastern Conference. The only consistent shooter in the starting lineup is Evan Fournier, who is really just an average starter and nothing more at this point. Elfrid Payton has been especially notorious with his ability to miss jump shots, and if he can't find some sort of improvement this season, I think his career goes down the road of Michael Carter-Williams. Now, with all of this said, this has been a very negative review, and we have to remember that this is a very young team. So there may be some improvements, but like I said, I just don't believe in them. And one more time, because this has to be said again, can we please free Aaron Gordon and get him back to the power forward spot? That was the guy I believed had the most potential on their roster, and now he's playing out of position. Come on, Orlando, you could have Sean Marion 2.0 on your hands. Number 11, the Miami Heat.
Last season, Miami was third in the Eastern Conference and reached the second round of the playoffs. This season, I am very confused with this roster.
Let me start this off by saying the Heat do have two promising young players in Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson. Both have shown that they can excel on the defensive side of the court, but I don't think either is ready to become a major part of an NBA offense this season, which is a problem because they will probably be getting plenty of shots in this Miami offense, which is a part of the reason why I think the Heat will struggle this season. My other main concern is that the Heat are just full of question marks. Is Dion Waiters a changed man after being snubbed this offseason? Is Goran Dragic ready to lead an NBA offense again? In Dragic's last season with Phoenix, the man averaged 20 points and 6 assists a night, but with the Heat last season, he was forced mostly into a spot-up role, never looked comfortable, and only scored 14 points a game. So if he's handed the keys to the offense, I think Goran will actually have a pretty big year, but I can't be sure of that. As for the other huge question mark, is Hassan Whiteside ready to live up to his new huge contract? Every time a player gets paid like this, there are always going to be concerns about his new motivation. But so far in the preseason, Hassan has been putting up huge numbers and looks ready to break out. If he can keep this up, if Goran can tap into his Phoenix years, then maybe this team will win a few more games than I think. But other than Dragic and Whiteside and possibly Waiters and McRoberts, I just don't think this team has enough playoff talent on their roster. Let's just be patient and give the young guys another season to develop. Number 10, the Chicago Bulls.
Listen, I am a Bulls fan, so you would probably think I'd have the Bulls in the playoffs. However, I really don't love this Bulls team. I'm not sure if the pieces are going to fit.
The concerns about court spacing are very real. The Bulls should finish the season among the league's worst three-point shooting teams. However, I still have some hope in the Chicago team. For one thing, Dougie McBuckets is back after showing some serious promise last season. Expect either him or Mirotic to break out and prove themselves as a future building block for Chicago. Rajon Rondo has a very bad reputation the last few years, but he's actually been pretty alright. I mean, he put up some decent stats last year in Sacramento, but his main problem was a lack of effort on the defensive end. Luckily, I don't think that will be a problem in Chicago because I don't think Jimmy Butler will allow his new point guard to just not try on defense. And speaking of Jimmy, this is his team this season. No matter if him and Derek are cool off the court, they obviously didn't seem to enjoy playing together on it. Butler works hard at his craft and he's in the prime of his career this season, so I expect a huge year out of him. The only concern is that he is now going to be playing a lot more small forward as opposed to shooting guard. And historically, he's been a much better shooting guard than small forward, so we definitely have to keep an eye out on that. And of course, the real X factor for the Bulls is Dwayne Wade. Last year, Wade averaged 19 points a game and played in 74 games. If the Bulls can get a similar year out of him, then Chicago could very well make the playoffs and have the talent to be a dangerous first-round team. But other than that, I just think they're a few pieces away from really contending in the East. Number 9. The Washington Wizards.
Can we please remember that just 2 seasons ago, the Washington Wizards gave the Hawks all they could have and were serious contenders to reach the Eastern Conference Finals.
Then came last year, a year where Washington failed to live up to their preseason hype and instead missed the playoffs despite having one of the best point guards in the Eastern Conference, which only leaves us with huge question marks. Can Markieff Morris thrive in a city that does not also house his brother? Can Otto Porter step up and become a quality starter in the NBA? Will Marcin Gortat continue to be a quality center in the NBA? Will Washington return to the defensive identity they established when they were winning games? And perhaps the biggest question, can Bradley Beal and John Wall get along? This summer, John Wall said in an interview in regards to Beal that, "I think a lot of times we have a tendency to dislike each other on the court." John, is it even possible for you to raise a bigger red flag than that? Listen, at their best, Wall and Beal should be the best backcourt in the Eastern Conference. Only the combination of the two has never seemed to really click. This looks to be the last season that Wall and Beal have a chance to make things right. If Beal can finally stay healthy, if Wall can continue his high level of play, if Washington can get back to being a defensive force, then the Wizards could comfortably make the Eastern Conference playoffs. And maybe they'll even be better than that. Unfortunately, after last season, there's just too many question marks here. So we're going to have to wait and see if Washington can prove that they are a playoff contender. Number 8, the New York Knicks.
Looking at the whole Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks might be the biggest wild card this season. If everything goes right, if everyone stays healthy, the Knicks have to be at least semi-contenders for the Eastern Conference, right?
I mean, Derrick Rose is playing for a new contract this season and has shown flashes of the old D Rose in the second half of last season. Courtney Lee is a solid 2 guard who provides wing defense and 3-point shooting. Joakim Noah should provide defensive leadership and awesome passing from the 5 spot if he's able to stay healthy. Which leaves us with the Knicks' 2 most important players this season. Melo is back after a huge Olympic performance and looks to be extra motivated going into this year. If he can tap into this talented roster and play the incredible type of team ball he has shown us in the Olympics, then this could be the best season he's had in a while for the Knicks. And of course, for the final starter, we have Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps comes into this season with a ton of hype, and I think he'll back it up. His jump shot, by all accounts, has improved tremendously. I mean, just looking at his jumper in the preseason, I can vouch and say that his jumper has looked smooth. Plus, he now has a year of experience under his belt. He's used to banging down low with other NBA big men. So if Porzingis didn't improve his scoring output by at least a few points per game this year, I'd be surprised. Which leaves the Knicks with a starting 5 that has the potential to be as good as almost any team in the Eastern Conference. If the Knicks can get some help off the bench from Brandon Jennings, Lance Thomas, and others, then look for New York to be a scary playoff team this season.
And so thank you for watching, guys. That's going to wrap up part 1 of my Eastern Conference preview. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, make sure to subscribe. We're 5 days away from the NBA season, so I'm going to be doing videos like this. I'm going to be covering trade rumors. I'm going to be doing NBA what ifs. I'm going to be doing NBA conspiracies. Basically, if it has to do with the NBA, I'm going to make a video about it. So I'm definitely hyped, and I would love if you would subscribe and join me for this season. And for everyone who's still here, for everyone who might already be subscribed, remember, I am making videos on my second channel, and I just did a really cool one today. It's What NBA Head Coach Am I? I'm going to leave the link on the screen right now and down below. So make sure to go subscribe to that second channel because I've been making some pretty cool content there. And for everyone who's been subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting me. And other than that, have an awesome day, guys, and cue the music.